Ladies and gentlemen, prepare to be motivated by your host, Reverend John Wheeler! Now shut up! You shut up! Sit down! Shut up! Shut up!
Hey, it works. All right. So, in honor of, we're recording this in the old rum dumpster, fucking studio area, aka bar in my basement. We're going to have a shot of rum to start it off. And this is, Navy Strength, Crown and Cross. It's the worst tasting rum, if not, which is my least favorite alcohol, by the way, ever. And out of all of those, this one's the worst. So here's mud in your eye, pirate.
Navy Strength.
Hail Satan. Oh! Ah! Fucking Christ! That's so bad! Oh, God, I better smoke about that. Jesus, fuck. Yeah, and I'm like a huge drunk, okay? And that's, that's my reaction. I mean, Bill's not a huge drunk, but he is drunk. Ugh.
Oh. My eyes are all watery.
That's real bad. Yeah. That is a...
57%.
Yeah, that's a lot. I wish it was 57% off.
That's 114 proof?
Yeah, it's one of those things that's like higher than like Wild Turkey 101 or whatever, which, by the way, I drink a lot of now because my dad kind of turned me onto it.
God.
Like, we used to be a bit more of a Scotch family. Him, his dad, back in the day, and I. But yeah, I don't know. Hunter S. Thompson was onto something with that Wild Turkey. Oh yeah, I was gonna put on a suit coat. I totally didn't. Who gives a fuck?
We just took a shot of awful rum. I don't think
it
the
is.
suit coat is going to dress anything up.
Yeah, it's not going to address the important issues of the day. Well, you know what? That's fine. And there's a couple reasons we're in the rum dumpster thing. One reason being that I got tired of moving stuff around, because over on the other end of the studio is where all the green screen shit is, and the little table desky thing was kind of always by that. And it's over there now, but it's off to the side, but you can't do it off to the side. You have to leave room for the camera, so if it's like over against the wall just as a convenient place to put stuff, you can't really film a podcast there. And so like if you move it over to like, I don't know, I had to scoot it around constantly. Now everything can just stay put. It's a little cramped and a little weird doing this over here in the bar, but it's also, nostalgic. And it's also, we're close to all these nasty boozes. There's a reason this bar is called the Rum Dumpster, and the Old School Podcast was subsequently named after it. I mean, I'm using all the same equipment and the same microphones. Why? Why change what kind of didn't work very well? Gosh, let me see. I finished a song in a music video, which I showed Bill. It'll be out in about a month. I'm playing a show with my old band, Blue Felix, but I'm not playing in their band. I'm just playing on the same show with them, doing my solo synthesizer thing act, which I tested once at the Hook and Ladder when I was hosting this musical comedy hybrid show thing with our friend Morgan Pearson, who's very funny. One of my favorite local comedians, specifically because she's very, very inappropriate. And it really made for like a fun dynamic. She is a woman of she was adopted by people here, but of South Korean descent originally. And the shit that comes out of her mouth I ain't never heard. But also the entire time I kept saying that I adopted her from North Korea because I had sex with Kim Jong-il and stole her away in the night as a baby. Or that he left her on the nightstand as a tip for me. It was one or the other. And she just rolled with it like it was completely true. And people, like Jake was there, and Alexis, and Meredith wasn't there. But anyway, someone said that like someone walked in, was like paying for their ticket, right as I was saying that, and they don't know who I am or who she is, and there's like, and that was really fun. But anyway, like in the middle of all that, aside from just me killing time in between other acts with Morgan being goofy, I kind of had these solo Like, I released one of them. It's called No One Cares. I think that's the only one I've really released, because I released those songs that got played on your mom's house. Like the Fed Smoker Rides Eternal, but those aren't really official. And Sleepy Time Weed Boy is not really official. And what other...
The one I did with Jake.
Oh, the one I do with Jake! Yeah, Sacrificial Delusion, the weird, like, rap song with my friend Jake from Blue Felix.
That one is also released.
That has a video, too, and everything.
Yes, and they are both on Spotify.
Yeah, you can listen to those. If you're listening to this, I can't imagine you haven't figured that out yet, because... You know, I will say that a podcast is the one thing that's harder to get people to listen to than music, and no one wants to listen to your music. Like, make no mistake. Like, I mean, I don't. Like, you're into music, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm into music that's really great that I like, or is really stupid that's funny and I like. The odds that I'm into yours, it's like, I had to be so polite for so many years, but it's like, and the worst thing is that just makes me go, is that what everyone's doing to me? Because I've seen a little rise in popularity more than once. So it can't all be bullshit, because I was usually, I was pretending to like whoever we're playing with, but they're fucking nobody. Or they got a little bit of a draw in whatever weird college town in Ohio they live in, and we're like, kind of mooching off their draw on tour a little bit. So I gotta be nice, but it's not like they go anywhere else and there's 200 people waiting for them, like what's happened with a few bands I've been in. So I'm like, when people are telling me that they think what I'm doing is good, are they just doing that same thing to me? But I have nothing to give anyone. Like, I'm selfish, I'm worthless, I'm a lot of fun, but there's really no value in going, I hope John Wheeler thinks I like his music that's bad. You'd think they would just be like, yeah, bro, I don't know, man. And people have, but rarely. So it's hard to say. Like, when you're a giant liar and the rule is to be a liar in any given situation, you can't trust anything anybody else says. Because they're doing the same thing to you, maybe. And we're all the same. We're all one. I really believe that. I really do believe the sort of Eastern philosophy of, like, we're all, like, whatever God is just the sum total, greater than the sum total of all our parts, but indeed the sum total of all our parts, like, with the universe and nature and everything. And perhaps that even consciousness is, as Q pointed out in Star Trek The Next Generation, like, it's horribly boring to be an omnipotent being forever that, knows everything already and whatever. And it's like, remember when he went to, like, the Q continuum and it was just like this Stephen King road and these people just sitting there? It's like, they don't, so it's like, you play a video game on God mode, you get real bored. So you gotta let it sit for 3 years. So now it's new and it's confusing. You don't remember how it works anymore. Like that meme where, like, when you've been playing, one of the World of Warcraft games or something forever, and then you have to go back and play Call of Duty. There's like a picture someone photoshopped of Gandalf holding an AK-47 being like, I have no memory of this place. It's actually pretty funny. It's like, wait, I don't know how guns work. I was a wizard for the last 3 years. And, so it's possible that we just shattered our own psyche into a million pieces to experience everything one little facet at a time, to be someone that escapes from the Holocaust and to also be someone in the inner circle Third Reich Party and thread back through time over and over again. All part of the same thing. And, like, it's funny, though. I had a thought, because that's like it's a good thing to say to make, to help convince people to be more empathetic and treat everybody the way they'd want to be treated. But I've just figured out how to use it for evil. And that, I don't know what that means. Like, the dark side of enlightenment, you could maybe call it, or something, because since we're all one, we're all the same, it's like you can kind of predict people and read their minds, and you're not that different, except for maybe the one tiny difference is that you've figured that out, and you kind of have a good grip on it that maybe not everybody else does. And so you're like, oh, I know this is what I would do because of blah, 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 blah. So you can basically predict stuff like, how did you know? Were you there? I'm like, no, but we're 7 billion copies of a copies of a copies of a copies of a copy. Like, yeah, there's differences, but not really. So if you're like, I'll bet they're just doing that because they're selfish. If you have that thought, you're probably right about whatever it is. Because you're like, well, why would you do that? For attention. But I'm a bad... no, you're like everyone else. So they probably are too. And that seems like a bit of a... I don't know. Sort of a bitter lens, I guess. Or maybe sort of a... What's that word? Not bitter. Not pessimistic. Jaded. Yeah. That's a good word. It's kind of a jaded way to look at things, but also, I mean, it's not entirely... I don't think it's too inaccurate. And anyway, I don't even know why I brought that up, but I was starting to feel like the closer I get to understanding perhaps the universe and what the nature of some sort of God could be, immediately I'm just like, yeah, but you could use that to like fuck people up, figure out what they're up to and get your way. But you want your way, because this sucks. Like, you're just like, go work retail, and everyone's going to yell at you, and you might get enough money for food. It's like, oh, by the way, though, play fair. Why the fuck would you? Like, I talk a lot of shit about people like landlords, like they inherit a house or some money, or a house and some money, and they get another house, and they're like, I don't have to work anymore. And then everyone's like, I kind of hate you. And they're like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, I gotta do something. You're like, yeah, we're all like working at, let's not talk about me, but people have shitty jobs at all. Their money comes from jobs and not schemes. But that's kind of my point. Like, my schemes are often victimless. And I think, I have friends that own real estate because I'm that old. And I'm a little bit, I'm kind of quick to cut people out of my life that are just a sad drag. So you do kind of end up with people that are sort of go-getters who you also like hate, but you'll rearrange the basement so they can stay with you because they're coming all the way from Florida. And they bought you a Pussifer ticket, so it'll be fun. No, I don't. I just want to see. I want to see if I hear anything about that. Like, does anyone really watch this? Because that would really be. Oh yeah, because no one likes music, but everyone hates these. Except for I think I hooked somebody. I think I hooked my old friend Joseph Caligari. I'm fucking pretty sure I'm saying your last name wrong, man. I'm so sorry. I always just slur it in front of you, and I think you think it's because I'm drunk or I'm kidding. I don't know how you say it. Joseph Caligari. Yeah, he comments on things a lot, but he was like talking about the Mountain Dew thing and making jokes about it. So I'm like, oh, you're watching it like Adam does. Like, wow, there's people. They're paying a little bit of attention.
That'd be great if his last name's actually like Kalima, and he's like reaching at the camera.
No, it starts with a C though. If it started with a K, I'd call him Joseph Kalima Shuptide. No, unfortunately. You could always change it. Or the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, or Caligula. There's so many wacky things that are so close to his name, and none of them are that, though. So my brain just goes, we have to call him one of these other weird things that you like. And he's a weird thing that I like also, but the thing is most of those other things I discovered in, like, the 80s, so he was a little late to the game. His mom was my, like, boss, sort of, at one of those jobs I had that I mentioned on the Awful Service podcast when I was a mortgage claims adjuster for what was I doing? I was, like, processing the paperwork or something. Some dumb, boring. It was, like, the one real job I ever had. And, someone had joked that, because I had been telling stories about, like, the Target thing and everything else, so I'm like, oh yeah, I'm the reason they can't sell cigarettes anymore. Go look at my TikTok or YouTube if you want to hear that, or the Awful Service podcast if you want to hear the extended version. And then, like, I would, like, go to work, just go work at Toys R Us, and I would just take acid, and then, like, it'd be, like, a shipment of Xboxes, but the trash compactor was in the same room the truck emptied out in. So one time, me and this kid Gilbert, who moved here from Compton after he got shot a bunch, who I really liked, he's like this Mexican gangbanger guy, and all these other dumb white kids would be like, why did you move here? Why did you move to Minnesota? It's boring. You lived in Compton. That's where rap videos happen, whatever. And he'd always pull his shirt up, and he's like, this is why. And he had those, like, you could stick your face, like, just blue gunshot wounds. Everyone's like, this is why. And they're like, damn. He's like, yeah. Don't go move to Compton. I know you're not going to. Anyway, Gilbert and I got along great. And after we had stolen as much video games as we could steal, eventually you're just like, well, what do you do? As we worked overnight stock, So, like, the truck's there in the morning. And we... I think the whole story is that Gilbert, like, threw what he was like, Xboxes, and just threw one of them against the wall. And this is back when, like, those green and black ones that look like that were like $900 fucking or whatever, probably adjusted. 4 or 5, maybe, whatever back then. But yeah, and he was like, well, we just broke that one. It's like, we could just throw it in the trash compactor. And then we looked at each other like, what if we just slid the whole skid and just crushed the entire thing of them? And this is in like 2006. And Toys R Us is gone. But yeah, I don't know how many there were, but it was like, I mean, one side of the cube had to be like 20 of them. So I guess maybe 200 or something. It's just good. So they're just like, whatever happened? Weren't we supposed to get a shipment? It's like, they're probably late. And they're like, yeah, our numbers are all off because we'd been stealing. And we're like, well, yeah, the shipments are late. The numbers are off. This place is a joke. And they're like, well, we'll figure it out, guys. Come on, have a little faith. And then they didn't because it closed down because it was like rated out of the Toys R Us was, what the fuck is it? The Fortune 500 or something. It was like one of those types of companies. And it was like number 500 as far as being like that big, but it was that poorly run. Whereas like Target was like near the top, at least as far as retail. Like Target had its shit together. Walmart was kind of in the middle. It's like, it sucks, but who gives a fuck? It's cheap. They figured that out. They just go to like the hauler, you know, where people just are, you know, all the mom and pops get closed down and now it's all Walmart and that's their whole thing. And then Toys R Us was just kind of like shoving crayons in its nose. Like, this place sucks so bad. But anyhow, I digress. I was telling all those stories and then I talked about how I worked at Wells Fargo doing mortgages. That's where I learned what I first heard the words Frannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and then a few, like, actually not too long later, during the mortgage collapse, I was like, hey, I remember all those words, but then it was funny because the guys on the Awful Service podcast, you know, they heard how I fucked over, like, all of these things. And they're like, did you cause the mortgage? I'm like, no. All I did, like, the subprime mortgage thing. But if you think about it, what I did there, for one, we were on the honor system with when we signed in and out, so I was there maybe 3 hours a day out of 8 hours. Like, I would take, like, these 3-hour lunches with this dude named Tyson who had, like wrapper weed back when, like, weed was just weed. He had, like, White Widow and stuff that was, like, purple and white and red and stuff. I'm like, what the fuck? It would just get... And I reacted better to weed back then, probably because I didn't care about anything. I kind of do now. Maybe that's the problem. But I would just be, like, high as fuck and just come back from lunch and just do whatever. But that was the thing. You were on the honor system from when we were punched in and left and all this other shit, and there was just this giant, like it's not like I had a little, like, Fight Club cubicle. It's like we were just a bunch of people around a table with multiple tables. It was more like, you know, where the kid that went to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory's dad's, like, yelling out the window. It's like, you girls need to be... Yeah, I worked down there, kind of. It was a little bit more spaced out and labyrinth. It wasn't like one giant warehouse room. It was like a bank. So, I mean, it was nice. But I still just wore a t-shirt. And, yeah. But we were also on the honor system for our productivity, which is, like, the funniest fucking, I didn't do anything. I don't know how mortgages work. I didn't then. I still don't. I don't care. And I would just... But what I would do is, like, I'd have to, like, go through the paperwork, and actually I had a little bit of a hand, and like, depending on where I sent it, it went for further review. But it was like, yeah, this isn't, the T's aren't crossed, and these numbers are too low. It's like, well, let's send them to the second review place because they're probably going to get denied. I would just put everything through. And I would barely do anything. And I would just write that I did, like, however, a gazillion of them a day. And they'd hold meetings and be like, our numbers are low. Like, we're not getting enough of these done. That was because of me. Like, I was doing nothing. There was 3 hours a day. I once spent an entire day going around looking for rubber bands, those black, like, they clip all the papers together things, you know, the plastic.
Like alligator clips.
Yeah, those plastic. There's nothing sharp on them, but whatever. And then, like, a cardboard, you know, they're, like, bendy. Well, they're kind of like a triangle.
The metal ones that have the, like, folding, like, arms?
Yeah, there's little arms, and then they're, like, they're black 3D printed two-dimensional pyramid.
Those are usually metal. And
are they? Okay. They're just black. I thought they were plastic because they're...
As your producer, I'm going to look up what those
are. Oh, that's fine. Yeah. Anyway, I spent all day wandering around looking for those and asking people, I'm like, I need some rubber bands and I need this. And they're like, John's such a go-getter. And so what I did is I built a base. I got a bunch of rubber bands and I wrapped them around a cardboard box, right? I tipped it so the open side was on its side, right? So it's like box on its side. And then I wrapped they're big, thick rubber bands. I wrapped them all the way around. And then I use those alligator clips to, like, pick up slack in them. So
binder clips.
Binder clips is what they were. So I was picking up slack in the, the length, and I could like tune them by pulling, and eventually I got like a full, it was almost more like a harp because it didn't have frets, but it was like a boom, 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 a boom, 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 boom. I spent all day doing that. Everyone thought I was doing something important. Then I was like playing a song for like one of my other bosses, and they're like, that's pretty neat. And I'm like, yeah, I just did this in 2 seconds. I spent all day doing it. I was like, anyway, I better get back to work. And he was like, no, I know, honestly, you've earned it, because again, they believed what I wrote down, that I was getting all this shit done, which I wasn't. So they'd hold meetings. It'd be like, we're behind, and you all need to be more like John, because I was lying. This was in like 2001 or something. It was after September 11th. I had to like settle for that job because of that. The opportunities, they became a little few and far between. But honestly, I don't know. Did I contribute to the subprime mortgage crisis a little? I might have, because I kept being like, wow, these people have a credit score of like 3. Yeah, but well, they deserve another chance. I just like put it through, and I would just check boxes. Like, I don't know what the fuck this all means, because I lied when I was like going in there. And that job, it was like, I think it was like $12 an hour in like 2002 money, and like, yeah, that wasn't terrible. And I think it was kind of a temp to hire thing, and I think that's why, because I wasn't in the official. Like, we just wrote our numbers, like our when we were in and out, because you could show up an hour late, stay an hour late, show up an hour early, leave an hour early. They were kind of like, as long as you're within this 10-hour window, as long as you're here for 8.5 hours and your lunch is only a half hour, that bullshit. Like, you can't, I hate jobs, man. Like, you can't just be like 8 hours and then just a half fucking hour of those 8 hours you just get to go eat and you still get paid. You can't do that for us? Really? But yeah, so I don't think I caused the subprime mortgage crisis, but I definitely fucking, like, just... Yeah, I don't know. That had to have had ramifications, because, I mean, I didn't do that many. I lied about how many I did, but we were supposed to be doing, like, hundreds a day, and I would still do, like, 50, which is not very many of those, because you could do it pretty quick. You just went and initialed things and made sure everything, like, lined up or whatever, so you could do it pretty fast, so you would do many, many, many of them an hour. But even for, like, the 3 hours I was there out of the 8 that I said I was there, and I learned the trick was show up as late as possible, because you're like, oh, I'll be here late, Skip, but there was no cameras, and everyone else was gone. So I would just, like, listen to music or something, and then be like, okay, and then take off. So aside from, like, the 3-hour lunches, which no one figured out somehow, yeah, I'd be there for a couple hours. Lunch would happen, like, right away. I'd be gone forever. Then people would leave at 5, and then at, like, 5:05 I would leave. And I was supposed to be there till like 6:30 because I showed up at 10:30, or I don't know. But anyway, like, Joseph's mom was the one who figured out, I think, that I was doing that. And then they fired me, and then I collected unemployment forever. And then later they were like, hey, this was like kind of a temp job thing. Like, you can't really do this. And then I just never answered that or like paid any of it, or nothing ever happened. This was like 20 years ago. So yeah, it doesn't matter. Well, one of my heroes, Tim Dillon, said that capitalism is basically what capitalism is to him. And, you know, I'm no big fan, but the upshot of it is that really all it means is you can borrow a whole bunch of money and never pay it back. Like, that's all. It's, you know, it's about the 4th of July. And, you know, we're saying what we're thankful for. No, that's Thanksgiving. What the hell is the 4th of July? Because I'm not thankful for shit. Oh, from the British? Can they please take back over again? That should be the new theme of the 4th of July is British dependence. Can we get some healthcare up in this bitch? I mean, again, like Bill and I discussed, I have mine via scam. Via scam. I should be paying what Bill pays, but I don't. I pay like I don't know. Again, you're kind of through a company that's owned by Jeff Bezos, so it's going to be a ripoff. It's going to be fucked. But it's like, I make like a lot of money, but I get, ooh. Some people are at the front door. Hopefully it's just the pho that Alexis ordered. Did you hear that, there's like I don't know what's going to happen here. I mean, I know the park across the street's going to be like a demilitarized zone, because last year there's people just whole families just taking like giant fireworks out that I've never even seen. Like things that were like those batteries of missiles that are on top of giant trucks in like sci-fi war movies and shit. They're just launching all over the place. And we just sat, like, we went and visited our friend Dana. It's like Dave and Cora know someone who I kind of knew through Facebook, but they live like 3 blocks down the same street we live on. So we just walked over there and hung out with them for a while, then walked back, opened up the living room windows, and just watched World War III happen at the park. I'm like, why would I need to go to the city fireworks? But apparently, due to supply chain bullshit, there's like fireworks shortages. So places are having to figure out what, to do instead, like citywide ones, And some of them were like, they're just going to have big metal, like, pipes that just shoot 30-foot tall flames into the air. Like, they're going to have, like, a pyrotechnic show. And when I was hearing that described, I could only think of, our last episode is called Fury Row. It was just funny. But in that Mad Max movie, like, the guy with the guitar on the back of the truck and just fire's coming out of it. It's like, rah, rah. There's guys playing the giant Japanese, like, taiko drums, just, like, from Rising Sun, just and I'm like, yeah, if we don't have fireworks and then we do that, that's where we're going. Like, we should just have guy with a guitar, like a flying V guitar with a flamethrower on it, pipes shooting fire, a bunch of giant homunculus mutants playing huge drums, just tuned down to like Meshuggah tuning, like all those YouTube videos when the Doom music kicks in and it's like, Charlie and Mac beating up a bunch of 12-year-olds, like, and I get almost teary-eyed. It's so beautiful. But yeah, we should do a combination of that and then just fire guns into the air. Like, it's just big. Just have loudspeakers with people just yelling slogans like, "We're the greatest country on earth." You're like, "Fuck yeah!" Let me hear your motherfucking guns. Fire. I'm like, that's. Like, what the fuck are fireworks? That's Chinese anyway. This is America, goddammit. Like, we're going to be living in Mad Max in, like, 8.5 years. Let's get the celebration down straight first. So we're ready. Like, we should be celebrating our decline. This should be like leaving Las Vegas. Like, we should just be drinking ourselves to death because we got nothing left.
Fireworks are a pretty good example of that. They're horrible for the environment, and they are a huge waste of money.
Oh, yeah, and that's pretty American. That's pretty American, Bill. But that's old America, right? Where all we did was things that were... When we look back and be like, hey, we used to waste money and do things that were bad for the environment, that's going to look like... That's like what you look at your 25-year-old self when you just graduated college and you were going to marry your high school sweetheart and you hadn't gotten addicted to oxys yet and you hadn't choked out a hooker in a parking lot and you still had that job and whatever. You're going to look back fondly on those days of like, yeah, remember when we just used to like kind of ruin the environment and kind of blow money on stupid shit, and now what we do is we just have a giant war train full of like fire, and we figured out a way to use something radioactive because it lights up the sky, and we're just firing guns. Bullets are like landing in schools, and they're just like, I wasn't even at school, we had the weekend off, and they're still getting mass shot by just stray bullets flying every which way while just death metal plays. That's the America that's like we're just in a bit of a transitional period right now. Like Samuel Jackson, it's like, it just so happens I'm in a bit of a transitional period. But no, it's not a good one, because he let those people live. No, it's not like that at all. It's like more like if there was like a third stage where a caterpillar turned into a butterfly, but then it turned into like a tarantula. Like, that's kind of where we're going. It's like, oh, hey, it turned into something pretty. And it's like, oh, it's turning into a ball of goo. What's coming out of it? And it's just like, oh, Jesus. It's one of those ones the size of a pizza that eats birds. Actually, those are kind of cool, but I do not want one in my house. Uh-oh. That's the tarantula at the door. You know what we should do for one of these? It should be like a radio play. Like where we don't use the camera, but we have gongs and like sheet metal. And we're like, it was a dark and stormy night. And I could just leave the dehumidifier on and let the dryer run and be like, oh, it's a storm happening in the hills of Scotland. And there's like a werewolf howling in the distance.
I've been looking for a reason to buy a Glockenspiel.
I've been looking for a reason to buy a Glock. But I'm kind of a tourist guy. If you're going to shoot someone, do it with something cheap so you can throw it away and not care. Who said that? I don't know. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. That was the other thing I was going to bring up. Actually, no, wait. I'm skipping ahead. I'm so very sorry. The reason I was bringing up my tumultuous past with that mortgage job or whatever is that at around the same time, like after I lost that job, because things just like fell apart, and I was like, I'm never going to do retail again. But I wasn't like the con artist and artist, both really. I put the con and artist that I am now, where I can just like make money just however, because I'm almost 42 and I kind of figured it out. Not how to make millions, but how to like not work very much and be just Jim Dandy fine, live in a house, have a nice piano, a couple of cars, whatever. I'll talk about the piano on a different one. It's so great. But yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. But however, that was back when they would just issue like anyone that was in their early 20s or 18 like a credit card with like $1 billion fucking limit on it. And like they would give you cash advances. They did all these things because they thought they had you, right? You know, they were like, oh yeah, a lot of people after September 11th, like job market's kind of hard, whatever. They're gonna run up all this money, and then pretty soon they're gonna have to pay it back. And that's where they fucked up, because see, when you're a kid, like don't do it if you're my age right now. Don't do this. But, and also if you're not living in like 2002, maybe don't do this, I guess. I don't know though, maybe. But either way, yeah, they just gave me these like tremendous credit limits, and then I would use cash advances to pay my rent and stuff, and then I just like maxed it out, and they just started sending letters to like, I had moved a couple times to like my old addresses, and they would like send things to my parents' house, and they'd be like, he's not here. Like I told, I owed like I kind of moved into having a cell phone sort of early in the game, because I've been like a T-Mobile customer since 2004, which is a pretty long time. I'm like gold medallion status or whatever, like Delta Air. But yeah, so I had a bunch of like Quest or whatever, like a regular phone bill that was just completely delinquent, and they like kept calling, like they found my cell phone, and I just told them that I was someone else and he was dead, and you're a monster for like stop reminding us. I don't know about his phone bill. I don't know. He's dead. Okay? What do you want? You want to go dig him up? I'm sorry, sir. It was back when it wasn't someone in another country. They'd be like, really? Because now they'd be like, well, you know, maybe he has some gold teeth. You can dig him up. And like, good on them. They shouldn't care. They shouldn't fall for my bullshit. They should just be like, yeah, fuck it. I would do that. Like, damn it. They're one step ahead of me. That's why I'm saying don't do this now. Go back in time and do it. The way I didn't, because this is a funny joke. But yeah, I told them I was dead and that they were a horrible person. They just took me. That was like, I don't know. I don't know what you want. Like, it's not like I'm his son. Like, this is his uncle. Like, whatever. I just get all these calls. We were close, but I don't know. Are you a scam? And that's my other thing. Like, accuse them of being a scam artist. Because sometimes they actually were, too. Those things that were like, hey, the IRS is going to send the cops to your house, like, right now if you don't send over. That is bullshit, you know. But I don't know. So I'm just like, you're a con artist, and he's dead, and you should know that, and whatever. Like, our records don't. Oh, your records. You got records over there where you are? Huh? Like, you just... You just call people and demand money from their dead relatives, hoping that they're senile and just watching Fox News all day. And you're just like, I don't want to get the government always wants their bills. Oh, fucking goddamn Democrats. But all right, just this once. Please don't put me in jail. I voted to make jails extra super bad and rapey, so I definitely don't want to go to one. They're full of black people, and that's how I like it, but I shouldn't be in there. And I don't know. I think that's what they were hoping for. And I was like, and that's what I screamed at them that I assumed they were hoping for, which is why they're worse than Hitler and Frankenstein put together. And they need to stop calling, and they did. And then the credit card thing, they would just send me things that were like, listen, just pay half of this and we'll call it good. And I'd just be like, fuck you. I just never paid it. I'm not going to say how much it was, but you can watch this very carefully and be like, yeah, his limit was this, and then they kept raising it, and then he maxed it out more than one, and then didn't ever pay any of them. Yeah, whatever that was. And then like 20 years went by, and I was buying a house, and I was like, God, I wonder what my credit score is, and it's like 782, because it was just so far in the past, it just went away. And again, that's what you can't do it. You only live twice, but I think you can only commit a massive amount of credit card fraud like once. By the way, if you're about to be like, you shouldn't be. Hey, I mean, you know, if some friend of mine DMs me like, hey, don't do this. It's like the statute of limitations on that shit is 4 years. This isn't like 2007 was like the last I heard of it. So fuck off with your hand wringing. Oh, they're go. No, do whatever you want all the time. That's what I do. It's just a good thing that I'm tired and old. So, whatever I want to do all the time is mostly like drink beer and play the piano. But it used to be committing lots of fraud and sticking my dick in fucking everybody. So, yeah, those days are over.
I kind of just want to point out that this thing, Google Docs, capitalizes Frankenstein, but it doesn't capitalize Hitler.
Well, good. Hitler does not deserve capitalization. Frankenstein made some mistakes. But the world he envisioned was a good one. Hitler's not so much. Frankenstein was more inclusive. I think he was made out of more than one person. Well, the monster, I'm sorry. Yes. Frankenstein's monster. However, the monster was his son. So wouldn't his name be Frankenstein, like, Jr.? Or maybe not even. It was his last name. It's like Victor Frankenstein and my son, Lucius Frankenstein. Whatever. And I just call it's like gym class. I'm like, come on, Marashi, let's move. Wheeler, look out. Frankenstein, you're up next. Like, that's how it goes. Like, in inanimate, like, Frankenberry was also the doctor, but the cereal was his monster. And that shit's inanimate, so that wouldn't be named after him. But Frankenstein, the monster, was a man. And he'd...
Wait, is American History X Frankenstein?
What?
Because then he doesn't, they create the monster, and then, he doesn't want to be the monster anymore. And...
Well, kinda.
Alright, sorry,
I think, I do believe...
Why we don't drink the Navy's...
No, we're going to have another one in a minute. I think Hitler von Frankenstein was one of the Misfits drummers at one point. I think probably in the late 80s. I don't remember. And I don't remember because I'm making it up. No, what was I had a joke about, what kind of... what kind of monster creates... God damn, I did this, at Sydney's show once. It was one of the few things I ever had a laugh at there. And it was like a father. That's something. But, yeah, Frankenstein, the doctor was his dad. So he would... What the fuck was the monster's name? Would he just be like, hello, monster? He's just like, hi, I'm, alive. What the fuck? But maybe that is what happened. I'll admit I've never read that book or watched any of the movies. The most... I fell asleep during the Robert De Niro version, which was kind of cool. And then I've watched every episode of The Munsters. And I think... Oh, I've eaten approximately 2 or 3 bowls of Frankenberry, but I much preferred Count Chocula.
Really? I always loved Frankenberry better.
Yeah.
No, Booberry I love.
Yeah.
Much better. Frankenberry I did not get very often. Booberry was the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Booberry was so good with what did I pour in there? It wasn't milk. It was I think it was just blue Kool-Aid.
I still haven't seen Young Frankenstein.
That movie? What?
Yeah.
You've seen Blazing Saddles, right?
Yes.
Okay. And have you seen Robin Hood Men in Tights? Because that holds up.
Many.
Okay, shockingly well. Young Frankenstein is such a fucking great movie. Because it's what's one of my... there's nothing unfavorite about Blazing Saddles. Everything about that movie is fucking phenomenal. But Gene Wilder's kind of one of the best parts.
Right.
He's up there. And he's Dr. Frankenstein in this Mel Brooks movie. That's about how he doesn't, because he's, Frankenstein's real son or whatever in that movie. He's like, it's Frankenstein! But then he goes, crazy because he goes back to the old country. I don't even really remember the premise exactly, but then he makes the dad, or the grandpa from Everybody Loves Raymond into, a Frankenstein. And he makes him do a song and dance routine that he fucks up and the scientists all throw crap at him. That movie is just very insane. Flaublicker. But yeah, I don't know. Gene Wilder is a fucking genius. When you listen to his interviews and he kind of talks about acting and stuff, you realize you kind of, I don't know, taking him for granted is not the right word. But you realize that he was so magical for a actual it wasn't just in the right place at the right time. He was very magical for a reason. And Willy Wonka was so fucking... The original one was so weird because of him for, a reason. He talked about in that movie, he wrote in the part where he walks out on the cane, and trips and does the somersault. And he's like, and the reason for that is so that for the rest of the movie on, no one will ever know whether he's he's lying or fooling you or whatever or not. And I'm like, so it's like he put something totally weird in there that he demanded to do because it forwarded the character arc and plot like better. And he was just the actor. Like, that's not usually how movies work. Like, typically it's like, okay, well, here's what you need to do, and you can zhuzh it up a little and do whatever, interpret it how you're gonna be a good actor. Sure, great. But he was like, this, I won't do the movie otherwise. And he was like, the costume even, he was like, Willy Wonka would be the kind of man that knows how to make his eyes pop, so that's like why he chose the color. He like chose slightly different colors to make his blue eyes more intense, because he's like, that guy wouldn't be like not aware of that when he dresses himself. He's like, I don't want to just look good in this movie, but this character wouldn't be a schlub about it. And so like it has to be like he understood like Willy Wonka like better than like anybody, and that's why that movie was so insane. And him as it's like young Frankenstein, like how unabashedly he sells everything. Like in that movie, like, it's like, oh yeah, oops, you're Frankenstein's son. You don't want to deal with the legacy or whatever. But he's like, no, I want to play a man that's truly tortured by this, but then eventually is basically seduced by the dark side and makes his own monster because he realizes who he truly is. I mean, like, that's so bizarrely deep for such an insane, like, goofy send-up thing. Like, Mel Brooks also made Spaceballs, which was great, but Gene Wilder kind of elevated stuff.
Right. And
like,
you've seen, like, there's quite a few of them, but the Gene Wilder, Richard Pryor movies.
Yes, See No Evil Here, like when they're blind and deaf or whatever, and like
Evil, Hear No Evil, Silver Streak.
Yes,
Another You.
Yep. I don't think I've seen that. I've seen No Evil, Hear No Evil, and Silver Streak. I think those are the only two I've actually, as at least 20-year-old, sat and watched.
Did you see the one he did with what the fuck is Han Solo's real name?
Here's Scooch. Harrison Ford?
Harrison Ford.
Let's just unblock the microphone from you a little bit there.
The Frisco Kid?
No, I haven't seen that either.
Where Gene Wilder's like a Jewish guy and Harrison Ford's like a cowboy, like trying to get him across the like West.
Oh God.
It's actually pretty good.
That how could it not be? Because I mean, like, also like, yeah, Harrison Ford back in the day was fucking great. Like he, Grandpa's a little sleepy now, but he was fucking no joke when he was young. But yeah, why am I screaming about Gene Wilder? Oh, I guess Frankenstein. Oh yeah, because Frankenberry the cereal is his monster.
That got all of us.
Yeah, I don't know what else.
It all started at you were telling the joke that you told at Sydney's thing about.
Oh right, yeah, a father. What kind of monster
does name his child?
A father. I don't know, something. It was good. But the thing is, like, I have a lot of good like terrible father, you don't have a dad, jokes, but like my dad's like one of the coolest guys I know. Like, he's a even-tempered, mild-mannered, reasonable, smart like guy that's like enjoyable to be around. And I always like, I did that. Remember that one TikTok, like where I was like, you can always tell when someone's rich or had rich parents because they flip out at the check engine light, like they think it's a problem because their parents be like, oh, I better take care of that, and you don't realize you can just drive it around until the light burns out and your car will be fine. Either will or won't be, but it ain't got nothing to do with that light. And I was like, you can always tell when someone freaks out about it, and because their first job was the one that they went to college for, and they're like, hey, no, I had to pay my own way. I had to pay for my own horseback riding lessons by helping my dad wash the jet skis. We weren't rich, whatever. And I'm like, oh, ooh la la, you had a dad. But like, I say that because I know a lot of people didn't, and everyone thinks that's really funny, but like, I did, and he's great. He's still alive, and he might be watching this, and this one's to you, Pops. I would swing by on the 4th of July, but like, Peter Pepper's here, and I think Figgles and some people are coming over, and I'm just going to stay here and grill, which is why I invited you, but apparently you have to work.
Well, fuck.
What, like all night?
No, I'll be done at like, well, it's time and a half, but I don't like my job, so I'll probably leave on time.
Well, what time is that?
3:30.
Yeah, barely anything will have been happening by then. You think Figgles will be awake, and Joey and Zachy? I think the boys are just coming over. So I was like trying to, because I haven't used that grill since like last year, and we have all this meat. Me and Alexis bought a bunch of meat out of a traveling truck. It was like, but they were offering the suck you.
Was it out of a van?
No. It was out of like a big refrigerated thing with with graphics on the side.
We had the sketchy thing in Richfield where it was like a white van that drove around that had meat in it, and it was just like,
that's good meat, boy. Come on now.
I don't know.
That's two things I know is like white vans full of whether it's stolen or not, it's good, and that government cheese is not as bad as people say.
I remember that it was constantly like blowing up on what's the weird like neighborhood like watch app, like
The Citizens app.
That's
They
the
were
one.
tracking the meat van.
Yeah. That's a very Richfield thing to do.
Tracking the meat van. That's like a Metalocalypse fucking song. They're tailgating the meat wagon or whatever. Yeah, no, that's funny.
It's Metalocalypse or ICP.
Yeah, what the fuck is the difference? And again, get at me, Fago. We're going to make Hard Moon Mist or Hard whatever. Hard Fago. And I know that the obvious choice is the Insane Clown Posse, but it's like, let's involve them, but let's have me be like the guy wearing a tie spokesperson. Like, let me be the Michael Eisner of this shit.
Yeah.
Let me be the ones holding Insane, the way Grand Moff Tarkin was the one holding Vader's leash. I will hold Violet J and Shaggy 2 Dope's leash.
Clowns can't really wear suit ties.
Well, they can, but they have to have giant polka dots on them, and
Well, yeah, but like when you have that much makeup, like around the collar.
Oh, it'll get gross.
Like,
I don't know though. Hobo clowns wear like suits and ties. Hobo clowns are like the best dressed clowns.
Right, but they are like, it's just like the mouth. It's just the mouth and eyes. It's not like the whole face paint.
Really? Because I thought they painted on the Homer Simpson muzzle.
Well,
like
right,
I thought that was.
It doesn't go down to the neck like it does with like.
Oh, they leave. Yeah, I guess they leave their big like Harry Adams apple just out.
It's just like.
Yeah, but no, the Insane Clown Posse. I think it cuts off right here. I think it's by the jaw. You were a juggalo. This came up on the last podcast.
This was a very long time.
I own a copy of The Great Malenko on CD. But I was never a juggalo. I literally, like, a friend of mine...
Oh, it does stop. Okay.
Yeah. It's like black metal makeup, kind of.
Okay, yeah, it's...
It makes sense.
All right. Violent J stops at, like, right about here, and Shaggy goes back to, like, where the neck starts.
Well, I think he's got a bigger face. He's got a neck a little like mine. I'm finally, I think I've been losing a tiny bit of weight. I've been working out every day. Off of my meds.
Violent J was my favorite before I knew anything about him, and then I learned like that he's like a great person.
I think they're both pretty great.
I don't know anything about Shaggy 2 Dope.
I guess I don't either. I know that
we should watch Big Money Hustlers.
We definitely should. And that has that guy from remember the guy
It has the Misfits in it.
It has the Misfits in it? Yeah, with Hitler von Frankenstein. That was their one drummer. I think he was still their drummer in that movie. And then that guy who was in Freddy Got Fingered, he played like Tom Green's like skateboarder friend. He's a funny comedian. I forget his fucking name. But he's like a cop in it or something. He's like, I got a donut eye. Like, and they're like, what? But they're all like eating at Perkins together or something. I don't know what the fuck, but he...
Wait, Harlan Williams?
Harlan Williams, that's him. Yeah, he's in that movie. And I have only ever seen. Hang on, something's coming to me. I've only ever seen clips of Big Money Hustlers. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce the dollar signs. But on one of my favorite things in the world. And you know what? We got like 11 minutes left. One of my favorite things that I've ever seen, and it's called The Whore Church. Bill, have we shown you The Whore Church? I feel like... Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
You showed me The Whore Church at Kremlin.
Yes, okay. All right. The Whore Church at Kremlin. Doesn't that sound so much more interesting than it really is? And by that I mean a YouTube video at the old house I rented in Bloomington. Yeah, that's funny. Before I owned, I was a renter. But yeah, the whore church is just this thing. These guys, it was just this cut up video thing of like people's heads exploding in like weird 80s horror B movies and like anal gaping videos and televangelists screaming and swearing. And it was like all this like found footage and shit just tied together being played over like weird like funk and death metal and dubstep and shit. Like, I don't know. Go find the Whore Church. It also had this thing on it called the Jerk Beast, which was like, I thought those were the guys that made the Whore Church, but the Jerk Beast was actually just this public access show out of, I think, Portland, where there was like this giant monster puppet that would just swear at people. And he would like, the whole point of the show was, and I want to, but goddamn, I want to recreate it so bad. Like, I like doing this, and I like the idea of like a streaming thing. Maybe I should get a Twitch and try to set it up more like it's a weird public access call-in show. Because I don't know how to run that exactly so that it gets anyone to care. But
can I be off to the side with a phone, sitting next to like an old phone and be like, Bill's accepting donations. And then...
Yeah. And I want you to wear like a short sleeve white button up shirt with a tie with like yellow pit stains, just with your like just maybe in a flop sweat, just be like, oh, just on like two old let's go collect old.
This is Pizza Hut. This is not Pizza Hut.
This is not Pizza. Who the fuck is calling it? No, I'm not refinancing. What is this? I don't own a house. Yeah, and that'll be you. So we'll need 2 cameras for the. Oh yeah, I'm actually getting extremely pumped about this right now. Write it down and start actually sending me things the way I tell you to, and then you don't. But now do. No, okay. Twitch public access call-in show that's also a telethon. And no, yeah, because see, here's the thing. The Jerk Beast would just be like, I need you to call, because people would call in, but it was like in the late 90s. It was like on VHS, local broadcast, whatever bullshit, you know what I mean? Like, and he'd be like, call in, I want to hear some garbage. And he would just, people call in and be like, I think the Jerk Beast is hot. It's like, you're a hot chick? It's like, yeah, what would you do to me? It's like, I think I'd probably bounce the wheel of my motor scooter off your forehead. Eat your toenails and piss in your face. And like, he was a giant monster. And like, I'm like, how close can I get to doing that using Twitch? That's my real question. Should we make a monster costume? Or should I just, have the camera set up so my double, quadruple chin is much more obvious? I don't know. I don't even have a double chin. I just have like a bullfrog sack that I'm trying to get rid of. That's how I tell I'm overweight. My pants get tight and then like, I have this blob. It's going away a little. I just don't ever want to get so fat and then lose weight when I'm like 50, so I get that like that fat bastard like vagina neck thing. Like, I want to try to keep it down so when I start rotting away and dying in my old age, at least my neck isn't so vagina-y.
Get more of the deflated like Mark Harmon look.
Yeah, Mark Harmon? Did he lose a bunch of weight? Dan Harmon. Are you thinking of Mark Maron? Because he's...
Mark Maron, that's the one.
Does he look deflated? I think he just looks old. I mean, he's kind of handsome, but he's like old guy.
I think
Bill...
never earlier on.
By the way, if you want to age gracefully, lean way into Mark Maron. For you, that's the way to do it. If you want to be like a bit of like a grouchy old silver fox funny guy, I think Mark Maron is... Because, you got to have a... You got to pick your old. I mean, you can't always have... like what you want. You're like, oh, age like David Bowie. Like, yeah, okay. Like, everybody says that, but why don't you pick something a little bit more realistic?
I don't know. Like, if I age anything like my dad, like, I'll be looking like 50 when I'm 75.
Well, you don't look like you're almost 40, so you got that going for you. I'm fat, but like I want to age like Till Lindemann from Rammstein. I think I'm getting there, but I need to lose a little weight, but. Yeah, I'm already by the few gray hairs I've finally found at nearly 42 are only right here. Like when there's like a comic book guy and they show him in the future, like Mr. Fantastic or something. Like, I'm just literally growing those. And I remember we've discussed this before, like staying up late. My first experience with stand-up comedy was just staying up late when my parents thought I was asleep and watching like Comedy Central. It's like where I found Mitch Hedberg, those late night weird Comedy Central, like, stand-up-y spots that they would just run all night or whatever. And it wasn't Gilda Radner. That would have been way too long ago. There was some female comic who was really funny. But she was complaining how gracefully men go gray. Like, women just get, like, a big fistful of, like, random grays, and guys just kind of get this, like, sprinkling in little of their beard. It's, like, handsome. But I don't know if she was correct, because like Alexis is getting a little bit of a Tulsi Gabbard streak, like when there's like a lady president in the X-Men cartoons, like, which I think is hot. Or like the red. Who is that Batman?
I like when Alexis was getting like random like stray like gray hairs, and like it had a really cool look. It was like a lightning like screensaver kind of.
Yeah, it looks really cool, and I think that there was who the fuck it was. Remember that Batman the Animated Series when it was like Catwoman, but there was like the Red Claw or something. This other lady, she had one. She had the fucking like mean, like silver streak in her like hair. That's such a like Bond villain. Like,
I mean, it kind of reminds me of like Rogue.
Rogue had it too. Yeah, but hers happened immediately when she absorbed like Miss Marvel's powers, I think. Or was it when she tried to absorb Juggernaut?
Captain Marvel.
Oh, Captain Marvel.
Yep. Yes.
When she tried to absorb Homelander's powers. Yeah.
Wait.
Oh, the new season of The Boys is pretty good.
Oh my god.
It was either something about Rogue or it was about the cat.
Batman.
Oh, Catwoman was fighting this other like real, because Catwoman's kind of like a on the you can root for her villain, you know, but like she was fighting someone who was like a
hero.
Yes.
The right word?
Yeah, in such a way that like Batman like she's more, if you really think about it through a modern lens, she's more of a hero than Batman, because Batman's like, but you steal, and she's like, you're a billionaire, you asshole. Like, that's of course I do. Like, I was like somebody's secretary. I was
how about you use your real superpower to fix the fucking world?
Yeah, you're like, I can't believe you'd steal things from a company. Like, that's a crime. Like, God, maybe
Dude, I am feeling trashed off of this one shot.
Oh yeah, we need another shot.
No, please.
Yeah. All right, well, let's have a different one. Let's not have that.
Oh god.
Let's have.
Holy fuck.
Oh yeah, this. There we go.
How do I feel? Dude, I feel so fucking drunk.
Well, no, it's the thing. The drunker you get, the faster, the quicker it goes away, and you do have to drive later, so you'll be fine. So okay.
Oh god, I'm gonna be here for a minute.
That's fine. All right, so we're gonna have a little bit of at the end here. Greenall's imported, a product of Great Britain. It has a shine on that. It's like a blueberry gin.
Oh my god, we're shooting gin?
Blueberry gin.
Oh.
Here, get rid of this. All right. But anyway, like.
Oh, remember the time you accidentally made a martini?
Yeah. It was like the nastiest thing. But yeah, maybe once it's not a martini, it'll be better. Well, yeah, I like when you sipped it and wistfully looked out the window into the neighbor's yard. You were just like, unpleasant. It was one of my favorite things you've ever done, which is why I found this. I think this was just like under the dryer, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna like make us drink these. And there's booze bottles, pills, and guns all over this house. Oh, I didn't have my podcasting gun out. Hang on a sec. Before we drink on camera, here, we'll pick a different one today. There's probably one in this drawer. Let's see. Oh yeah, my revolver. All right, there we go.
It's not on camera.
Oh yeah, hang on. Oh yeah, right. I always use them as a bookmark.
As your producer, I'm in charge of these things.
Thank you, Bill. Otherwise, all right. Let's here's a little bit of that. Is it worse than the Crown and Cross? Oh boy.
It's bad in the opposite way.
Oh, it really is. Oh,
I didn't even finish it.
Yeah, you should. Hang on.
I will. It's just.
I gotta wash this down to the Budweiser. But are you all jealous of my living space? That seems to be infinite from all the different places I film from, and there's always a refrigerator full of booze and a .38 revolver somewhere. God, there's so much to talk about in so little time.
I always liked that. Like when I was house sitting, when you guys were getting married.
In Vegas.
I was cleaning and I accidentally found guns.
Yeah, and you know what the funny part is?
I got them all put away, Bill. And I'm like,
I did,
right.
most of them. Like 90% of them, and you found like 5. Yeah, I have a few guns. Ooh, Alexis is going to get a bullpup shotgun, by the way, with the ones with the 2. They're like short, but they hold, and then you rack it, has like a handle on it. It's like a Matrix gun. She was like, oh yeah, I was like, I kind of don't like your shotgun because I just have like a Mossberg, and it's like, yeah, it'll bruise you up. But those are designed to be really like, they take a lot of the recoil, and she's like, well, that's fine. And like she got another raise, so I was like, I don't know, it's like $1,200. She's like, So I'm like, oh, fun. Okay, yeah, do that. That'll be hilarious because whatever guns either of us buy, the other one gets to use.
I always wanted to join the Edina Police Department only so that I could fire some of their P90s.
Oh, yeah.
Because they have P90s.
Those with the... what's the ammo those... Like, it's like a weird... Like, doesn't FN make those or something? Like, they're...
Yeah, right. It's a weird, like, in-between of what's, like...
By the way, why does everyone look... Ben Hurley, who's not the biggest gun guy ever, probably less so than even you, and you barely... You, by default, maybe kind of... He loves those.
It was one of the primary guns on Counter-Strike. It was like...
Oh, yeah.
So, like, that's...
And by the way, though, he was the one that showed me those, which is weird. And I actually was like, yeah, I like this. This is really cool.
It's like if a robot had a gun, it would be a P90.
It is like a very Matrixy anime gun or some shit. Like, yeah, it is. I like futuristic. Anyhow.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, get it.
Make a note before I distract you.
No, that's okay. All I really want to say, though, I guess this 4th of July, America's falling apart. It's time to get a new scam. And if you're not running a scam, run a scam, okay? Like,
very un-American of you to not be running a scam.
That this country was based on so much fraud. And by the way, like, we joke about NFTs, but like blockchain shit will eventually make fraud very difficult. So just trust me on this. You got to get in while the getting's good. And just break the fucking law. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, if you're like, I don't have any money, I don't have any insurance, it's like, I shouldn't have either of those things, and for some reason I do. And, you know, I don't know. Like, get a shitty job and steal from it. All right? Like, fucking run up a bunch of credit cards and just don't pay them. Like, I don't know. Like, if it's something illegal in your state... You know, because we just got a tiny, weird little weed thing here, which actually I think I want. I want like 2 milligram Tina, baby. Like I want like a little bit of real weed and then mostly CBD, whatever it is. But like you know, like well, you can't get it in Wisconsin. That's fine. Like drive to Wisconsin and then sell those fireworks here. Buy a bunch of like weed edibles here and sell them in Wisconsin. Like how fucking hard it's, you know, racketeering is a victimless crime. It's just fun, really. And so this 4th of July, which is in this will probably come out on the 4th of July actually, when, you know, there's like a giant pipe organ being played by a mutant with a robotic head that shoots fire out of the pipes, and there's guys playing Slipknot drums and other people shooting machine guns into the air. Just remember that the thing that paid for those is probably something where someone bought like real estate on like with a loan that had like a different APR than another loan, and they switched it over and flipped it and whatever, and the profit just came out of like nothing happened. Nobody worked for that money. Like someone sent a couple of emails. They went to a corporate steakhouse. They talked to somebody, something happened, and then someone made like $900,000. And then did someone invent a flying car or a better mousetrap? Or nobody did anything. So if you're like defrauding the government or a credit card, who by the way deserve to be defrauding, if that is a word.
If someone's gonna make a better mousetrap, they should improve upon the board game.
Yeah, that could have more lasers in it. Oh, that's all I'm saying. But yeah, like this 4th of July, please, for the love of God, be an American, commit a crime, get rich, and if someone tries to stop you, there's nothing more American than a secret murder. I wish that would have worked.
The Reverend John Wheeler Podcast takes zero responsibility for the words, actions, or ideas of its host, guests, or listeners. Though the people on the screen may at times be speaking directly to you and may occasionally give you direct calls to action, neither Reverend John nor the Alchemical Cocktail Lounge are under any moral or legal obligation to answer for the potentially disastrous repercussions that may arise if you are stupid enough to actually follow the orders of a raving lunatic. Think for yourself and do whatever you want, because you're on your own. If anyone ever tries to sue this podcast, black SUVs will converge on your location in the darkness of night and you will never be seen again. Remember to like and subscribe.